Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be kind of a spontaneous reading vlog, one-day reading vlog, because it's Sunday and I had planned to participate in a readathon this weekend that was Jan Agaton's like Patreon readathon, and the theme was around like haunted houses. It was called like Escape the Haunted Lair, and I had planned to read just haunted house and haunted place books for the readathon. And then my plans got totally derailed because Friday I was finishing a manga for a different video, and that was really chunky and it just took me longer than I anticipated it would. And then yesterday, Saturday, I went shopping with my mom because I realized I needed a dress to wear to a wedding next weekend. So I really needed to find something for that. So we spent a good chunk of the day just kind of shopping. We got some brunch and then went shopping, and it was really nice. It was a great day to get out of the house, and we had a great time just hanging out, doing some shopping. We both found some great stuff. And I managed to find a dress for that wedding and a dress for a baptism I have to go to in November because I don't own a lot of dresses and I didn't have any that were fall appropriate. So, you know, I got that kind of sorted out and had a really nice time, and then came back and played 7 hours of Silent Hill 2 with my friends. So no reading happened. I ultimately managed to read about 20 pages of one of these books. So yeah, plans totally fell apart. That said, I'm still really in the mood to read some more haunted house books because I recently read Model Home by River Solomon, and it just really left me wanting more haunted house content. So I'm going to continue on with it today. We're going to attempt to read at least one, maybe two of the books off of my original stack today. So what I originally planned to read for the weekend was this little stack. I have We Used to Live Here by Marcus Klewer, which is the one that I started. And then we also have Lincoln by Ai Zhang, Tell Me I'm Worthless by Alison Rumfitt, and Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. And I know that I'm not going to get through all three of these today. My reading pace is just not going to happen. But I do want to try and get through We Used to Live Here because it seems like it's going to be a pretty quick read. And I was really enjoying the 20 pages I did read. The writing is really good. So I really want to get through this. And I'm thinking if I can get through this, I might also try to read Lincoln because it's very short. And it's one I've been kind of intrigued about for a while because it's about a haunted town where people go when they want to be haunted. And it's like a book about grief. So really curious about these, and I think this is maybe doable today. I think this is like 300 pages. This is like 160 pages or something. I feel like this is doable. If I get a chance to start one of these two, I absolutely will, but I'm trying to keep it reasonable for today, especially because I actually also have a bit of a time crunch today because my friends and I are also playing 13th Age this evening. So we had our Silent Hill day yesterday. Today is 13th Age. We've been playing this every other week for few months now. I don't remember exactly when we started, but we had to do some adjusting to our schedule in the last couple of weeks because one of my friends lives out in some of the area impacted by Hurricane Helene, and she luckily was okay. She was without cell service or Wi-Fi for a little while, but her family had a generator, and I don't remember if they were out without water for a little bit, but they're doing all right. And we were quite concerned because we hadn't heard from her for a while, but she did finally message us, and it turned out she just had Wi-Fi at work. And so she was able to message us when she got to work because her place of business did have Wi-Fi. I've got hiccups. Great. So she was able to message us and let us know she was okay, which was great. But they've only just gotten like Wi-Fi and cell service back in the last little while. So last weekend we did manage to play it. It was supposed to be the weekend before that, but obviously Helene happened. So we pushed back to last weekend. Now we're playing again this weekend, and then we'll be back on our like every other week schedule. So we are going to be doing that at 5:30 because that same friend who lives in that area has a very early morning tomorrow. She has like the really early shift at her place of work, and I think she gets there at like 3 or 4 in the morning, like really, really early. So she can't be up past like 8:30ish. So we have to start a little bit early. So I am going to try and get as much of this read as I can between now and 5:30 p.m., which is about 7 hours because it's 10:30 right now. And we'll see how it goes. If I get a chance, I may also read a little bit more after that, although I'll have to be careful how much I read spooky books right before bed because I also need to go to bed early because I'm taking my car in to get inspected tomorrow. So bit of a time crunch, but I am really excited to dive back into these and try to read as much as I can today. So that's the plan, and I'm gonna go get me some breakfast because I haven't eaten anything yet today. Gotta swap some laundry out, and then I'll be diving back into We Used to Live Here, and we'll see how it goes. Against all odds, with 9 minutes to spare, I have finished We Used to Live Here. And I don't know how I feel about this book. I don't think I've ever read anything that messed with my mind quite as much as this book. It had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. And now that I'm done, I kind of feel like I'm on the verge of tears, but also possibly coming off like an adrenaline crash. I don't know what I'm feeling right now. I also don't know what I'm going to rate this book. I'm torn between 4 and 5 stars because I think experience-wise, it's 5 stars. The writing is incredible. By which I mean, like, it does such a good job of establishing this atmosphere of unease and dread that, like, it was really genuinely creeping me out. And, like, there's some really interesting descriptions that I think they're just so strong. Like, the descriptions in this book are so vivid. But I also feel like there's some pieces that are left unanswered, or at least like things that get brought up that don't get referenced again, that I would have liked to see some kind of reference to, something that kind of brings everything full circle. Sorry for the lighting. My camera hates that I have a window behind me. I've just realized how dark it is. Let's see if I can get some backing light not backing light, some that one, some of that light in here. Yeah, so tension, atmosphere, creeping dread, all fantastic. There's just like some details that rise in the mid part of the book and then are never referenced again and don't really seem to go anywhere in a way that I think I would have found the ending a little more satisfying if some of those pieces had circled back around. But at the same time, I feel like that feeling of unsatisfaction, of things being unanswered, is intentional. This is, I would say, very much like a version of eldritch horror. This is like, Lovecraft couldn't have come up with this, right? Like, this is so freaky. But it's in that vein of like things that are unknowable and unexplainable, and there are forces out there preventing the pieces from being put together. And I just think it's so interesting. I really like the perspective character we have here too. We're following Eve. She and her partner Charlie have bought this house and are renovating it. And then this family shows up and is like, we used to live here, and that's when things kind of go off the rails. But Eve is super interesting to follow in a story like this because she's incredibly anxious and paranoid. So she's constantly worried that like she's misinterpreting things. And I think throughout the novel you have trouble deciding, is that thing really sinister or is it just nothing? Is it truly just Eve's anxiety getting the best of her in this situation? And it just keeps that kind of question right at the forefront constantly. You're like, is that really something sinister? Is something wrong here, or is it totally fine? And I think by the time you get to the end, that question just kind of like worms its way into your skull. And I don't know. I just don't know exactly how I feel about this book, other than it was an incredible experience. I'm glad I picked it up. I was reading it and thinking to myself that, like, I think this would be really fantastic as a movie. And then I realized in the acknowledgements it mentions that there is a movie deal. So we are getting a movie of We Used to Live Here, or at least it's kind of something that is in process. And I think that that's going to be incredible. I think this would make a fantastic movie. There's so many really vivid moments in here that I think would be just fantastic on film. So there is that. And then the other thing that I think kind of caught me off guard is I was reading this and the acknowledgements at the end, and it mentions, I think this originated on the No Sleep subreddit, and I would not have guessed that this was subreddit horror, or was a Reddit horror in any way, but yeah, so apparently this is originated there. He specifically calls out like members of the No Sleep subreddit and mentions that he's read some incredible other stories there as well, but just, yeah, wild. Would not have expected that, and I genuinely don't know how to feel about this. It's gonna be a 4 or a 5 star. I think it's really gonna depend on, like, after I've had some more time to process, whether I settle out on being okay with those things being left hanging that I think are very intentional. I don't think it's a matter of, like, the author forgot. I think it's supposed to be like that. It's going to kind of depend on how I feel about those elements, I think. I do feel like it does have an unsatisfying ending, which I heard, but again, I think it's intended to be that way. I think that's a part of the horror, is that you don't quite know what's happened at the end, but in a way where it's like, you know what's happened, but not exactly how it's happened, if that makes sense. And I don't want to say anything more and like spoil any of this for you if you want to pick it up, because it is just an incredible experience of a book. So yeah, I will absolutely be reading more from Marcus Klewer in the future if he writes more books. This was absolutely wild. And now I need 3 to 5 business days to process this book, because I don't know how to feel. I don't know what to do with myself now, but I'm gonna have to figure it out, because I've got 2 minutes until 13th age. So I don't know what else to say. I'm gonna go play 13th age, and I'll either come back later with more book. I did have Ling Hun on the seat next to me here. I didn't get to it. I'll either come back later with more book, or I'll come back later and finish off this vlog. We'll see how I'm feeling. I genuinely don't know. Okay, so after some thought, I think I'm gonna give this 4.5 stars. Overall, I'm okay with the ending being kind of unsatisfying. I think that's the point. But I think one of the things that's really stuck out to me is I think that this is attempting some kind of commentary, but I, for the life of me, can't figure out what exactly it is. And that may just be because there's marketing copy comparing this to like Get Out and Parasite. But I feel like those have very clear critiques to make of the world, and I'm not sure what this is trying to say exactly. But that said, I still really enjoyed this. It was a really interesting experience. It really unsettled me, and I want to give this like my own comparisons that I think maybe give you a clearer idea of what it is, which is that I feel like it's a little bit kind of the same vibe as like the Magnus Archives, where there's like a bigger thing going on and you're really only seeing a little chunk of it, but it has the same kind of like feel to it as the Magnus Archives. It seems like it could have a similar kind of world to it, with the caveat that I've only listened to like season 1 of the Magnus Archives, so I'm only familiar with like part of the story, but it has like the same feel as like season 1. The other things that I think that, like, if you took the Magnus Archives and you mixed them with like Another, which was the manga I just read, and the kind of the way the ending works there, where it's like a conclusion but not a solution, if that makes sense, and then a little bit House of Leaves as well. So I haven't read House of Leaves actually either, but based on what I know of House of Leaves, this I think is like House of Leaves light. There's not quite as many like puzzle elements, but there are a couple of like little fun puzzly things for the reader to find. So overall, really enjoyed it. Gonna give it a 4.5, and I think that's it. I think that's what I have to say about this. I think I am gonna go ahead and end the video here, because I don't think I'm going to get to another book tonight. I've just finished 13th Age with my friends, and it's fairly late. I need to put away some laundry, and I don't think I'm gonna manage it. But, you know, I feel like it was a success just for finishing this one book, so I'm pretty happy with that. So that said, that's pretty much all I have for you today. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I hope you consider giving it a like, maybe even subscribing to see what comes next. I'm currently posting on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.